when I first moved to Los Angeles, my heart had gotten broken. I was like, I'm going to move to LA, even though it's like I had no interest living in Los Angeles just because it's not the easiest place to live in general. But I went, put my chips on the table, as it were. And that was about 20 years ago. And one of the first breaks that I had was that John Mayer was writing this column in Esquire magazine at that time. And he had these lyrics that he said, these are some orphaned lyrics. And so calling all songwriters out there, write some music to this and I'll pick a winner at some point. And so I entered that and sent off the song. I really thought about trying to do this sort of blues pop thing that might sort of fit the John Mayer style. I didn't tell anyone about it. And lo and behold, about a month after I sent it in, I got a call. I was working at the software job. I was sitting with some Chinese food in my Honda Civic on my lunch break, sort of like
living the dream, buddy.
Trying to figure out the dream. Yeah, it was one of those like game planning, looking at the sky, just being like, how do we do this? Like the engine's off. And this number that had been trying to call me repeatedly was showing up again. I didn't recognize the number. So I figured it was a bill collector. And it turns out it was, I answer the phone and it's like, hey, is this Tim Fagan? I'm like, yeah, who's this? And this is John Mayer. And he starts singing the melody to the music that I had written, that I had sent off. So he was calling persistently to make sure he got through to me to let me know that I had won out of some 2,000 and some people that had sent this in. And it was an incredible rush. And I was immediately sort of like feeling like, all right, the dream is back on, baby. Let's go. And he sent me his signature Strat at the time, right before they started coming out. And so he sent me that directly, wrote a great article in Esquire. The title of the article is Tim Fagan is a Winner. And he goes on to talk about, the process. And it was a jolt of a huge, exposure opportunity. And I put together a CD release party back when there were CDs. And at that release party, I was introduced to this woman who was representing Colby Calais. And so it was kind of like one thing led to another. I became friends with Colby Calais in the Los Angeles sort of singer-songwriter scene. And right around that time, she blew up on MySpace, of all things, and was signed to a record deal, asked me to be her guitarist and band leader. But she first and foremost knew me as a fellow songwriter. So when an opportunity came across not long after, we were out on the road opening for Lifehouse and Goo Goo Dolls. It was pretty fun to have our first tour be such a sort of big thing. Jason Mraz reached out to her over email and said, hey, do you want to do a song as a duet? And he sent over this guitar vocal, this sort of like rough draft. And Colby showed it to me. She was like, do you want to work on this? I'm like, yeah, I want to work on this. And I played it cool. But the beauty of it was that I had no idea really what I was in for, what the stakes were. In other words, it would come years later that I would realize as a professional songwriter, quote unquote, like what it takes to be put in the room, so to speak, with an artist and someone with a big name and a big record label behind them. And we were just writing this song and piecing it together across the distance. He was in London, we were on tour. And I would I was inspired by a Steve Martin movie, The Jerk, where there's a scene where they're singing like this beautiful duet where they're doing this counter melody thing. And I thought, in duets, I don't think I can remember the last time when I heard the two singers sort of go their own way and sing counter melodies. And I wove that into the song. And so flash forward, we pieced together the song. The record label loved it. It found its way onto the record and it became the follow-up single to I'm Yours. So this enormous song, I'm Yours, comes out on Jason Mraz's record. And then Lucky is the song that we all wrote together that came out after that. And it won a Grammy, and it's an honor. Yeah.
I love how when you say I won a Grammy, you almost feel like you have to say it as a throwaway kind of it's not a big deal thing, because you don't want to come across as if you're full of yourself. But it's a huge achievement, and it's absolutely deserving. I mean, having spent a few hours in your presence watching you talk about music and talk about guitar and teaching and getting to know you and your partner,
yeah,
you deserve every second of everything that happened. These things, these breaks, or you talk about getting a break, I really feel like when an artist gets that break, it's just it's the end of a long chain of hard work, dedication, and basically passion, isn't it, really?
Who knows how it all shakes out. It felt very charmed and fortuitous and all the things, but just seeing little signs where, like, even in that moment when John Mayer called me, I was having my Chinese food in my car. The fortune cookie, after I got off the phone with John, said, like, opportunity is knocking, answer the door.
No.
It was like, and
man, that's so cool.
And he had called
you
3 times.
Got a photograph.
I very much so. Yeah. And I kept it, and it gave me chills. And it's fun to feel like whatever kind of tide is rising or a surge of momentum, it's like, all right, I'm going to ride it. It's bigger than me. And yeah, there's a lot of hard work and all those gigs in the pubs and the unseen moments where you doubt yourself. They come and go. But when it's a good day, it's also fun to just be like, all right, we're riding the wave, you know?
Tim, you know now that you need to shoot a music video outside the front of that Chinese.
Yeah.
You need to go find that place. Whatever.
Yeah.
What is it? A Panda Express?
It's a Panda Express. So I could probably get all their locations and just get the old General Tso's chicken that I had that day.
That's great. That's great. Not a Chinese dish.
Yeah,
I love it. So where are you based, as they say in America, out of?
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee these days. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I've heard about Nashville. I've been in her a few times.
When was the last time you were here?
It was on an American tour with Rabia, I think.
Yeah.
Probably. What was it? Either on my own or with Rabia. I've done two tours of that area. It's where I met Johnny Highland, and nice. He signed the back of my Ghost Fret.
Wow.
I love Johnny Highland. There's a man that can make you immediately think you don't know how to play guitar.
My God. Yeah. The players in this town. Yeah. I try to play around with the hybrid picking and the chicken picking and some of that stuff. And, our now mutual friend Guthrie Trapp is a real inspiration. But I tend to treat it just like I'm just passing through. I'm just having fun. Almost like if I give it a sort of light touch, then I can absorb it without feeling the pressure, because there's moments where it's like, I'm not going to be able to play that clean and that punchy. But one thing I'll say is that the sense of humor and sort of quirkiness and some of the wild stuff that goes on and like really clean country guitar picking is super inspiring. You know what I mean? When there's that sort of some of those tongue-in-cheek, really dissonant and funny and fast licks, where when you slow them down, you're like, "What is going on here?" This guy's eating banjo roll or something,
So Johnny Highland gave me a lesson when I was in Nashville playing. He turned up, tried my guitar, tried my amp. I was just destroyed. Every part of me was melted, and he gave me a lesson in some of those little dissonant licks where you hold a finger down, hit an open string, and you're sort of scaling up but going down. And if you slow it down and add distortion, it's metal, right? And if you play it to speed and clean it up, it's country. And I fell in love with that kind of music. And I said this in a previous podcast, but it's fine. I think it stands the test of time. I fell in love with that from the documentary Down from the Mountain, which was all about the music of the movie "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" Oh,
I haven't seen the documentary. Yeah, I love that film.
Oh my God, I need the planet to know about this documentary. It's where I first saw Emmylou Harris. It's where all of these, Dan Tyminski, Ron Block. Just, man, honestly, it's such a great. It's just a live performance, and then them talking about, like Union Station of playing, and it's beautiful. And everyone is such an incredible, emotional musician, and some of the vocal harmonies are. I mean, man. It's so American, and yet it's utterly European, because all of this music, it's an American music. I mean, jazz really is an American music style, but this mountain music really has its roots in Celtic origins, and whether it's Irish or Scottish or Old Cornish, and then the Germanic stuff. It's all seeped into the States back in the day, and then gone through the mill of poverty and music was needed to keep people alive, sane and happy, and have an outlet. And it became this fucking beautiful thing that then Alison Krauss is singing, "I'm the lucky one" or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. No, I wrote down that documentary. I'm a sucker for that. And there was the Ken Burns one that he did on country music that came out a few years ago. I remember watching that and just opening up my mind to really the roots of all, like, the origins of country music and blues, and it's amazing to hear the Celtic influences, and then just where it all ends up and how all roads converge. And when you hear the harmonies and the vocal harmonies, and it just gets you fired up because it makes it feel like it's alive and ancient and like fresh all at the same time, where it's like when you're in the room with people that know how to really continue the tradition and play it and sing it, there's nothing like it. It's just everyone has goosebumps.